Hey, lovely folks. Today is April 29th or 30th. I don't know which of 2026. Believe it or not, it's 2026. Believe it or not, it's almost May of 2026 as of my recording. I'm sure it will be later when I get this up, but who knows. This is my garden, and I wanted to discuss some things in my garden with you today. We'll just see where things go in this discussion. Now, I have previously shared and discussed my greenhouse alternative, cheap greenhouse alternative. You can see this is a cheap plastic tote. I used some buckets this time, and that's just greenhouse plastic back there that I used, scrap lumber, and that's that. I did show you how some of the plants were leggy in a previous video, so I wanted to show you that they're doing all right and that I transplanted them. I do live in, I think it's USDA Zone 6A, I think. But zones are shifting, weather is crazy, you never know, everything's insane in this world. So, I pretty much always get my garden started planting out early. When possible, I like to do the no transplant winter sowing, but that's not always possible for me. And, you know, not all of the plants are going to make it that I've transplanted. And I can see one right now that I'll show you. But that's the case. But I want to share, you know, just some various things with you in regards to gardening that you might not have thought of. And we do have a tall deer fence here because we have a lot of deer pressure. This is my main garden. This is about 900 square feet. This year I'm using a lot less because I wasn't getting production out of the sides here because of the tree roots. And as you can see, everything looks like junk because it is junk pretty much. That's junk. My gate here to keep the deer and the critters out is junk. But we live back in the woods. Nobody cares what you do here because we're back in the woods. Nobody can see what we're doing here. And then I have one of those little dog clip thingies, dog leash clip thingies. I clip that here, and this keeps the critters out for the most part. But as you can see, you know, there's a decent space here in which, you know, critters can still get in. Possums sometimes get in here in the garden and can't figure out how to get out, but I want possums around here because they eat the ticks, and the possums don't actually mess things up. What messes things up in the garden, besides deer, are raccoons. Raccoons I trap, process, and feed my cat. By the way, I'm a vegetarian. I did some experimentation in electroculture here 3 years ago, I think, and I haven't got the videos up. I'll see if we ever get to that. We'll see. But things are not pretty back here. Oh well. I'm not the one who goes for pretty. That's my husband. He gets paid to make things pretty. I go for practical. So there's that. I've transplanted all of my cucumbers thus far. And as you can see, they are actually... This guy here, is there anything here? There is nothing here now. So I transplanted there, but apparently they died completely, so there's nothing there now. When I transplanted them, it was middle of the day because I do what I can when I can. And so some of them aren't so happy still. We'll see how it goes though. Like this guy here was doing pretty well, but he was pushing up against the cloche. He got too big for his britches. And so I took the cloche off. Now I want to talk to you some about the cloches. All of these cloches that I have here, sorry about the lighting. Well, that one right there was our old porch light, which broke. So I kept the glass thing. And then these green ones here, I got for free on Amazon because I used to be an Amazon Vine person. And those are still working pretty well. Those are plastic, but everything else, all of the cloches are glass, and what they are just old light fixtures. And as you can see, I have quite a few of them. And I want you to look at the design of them, because these are what works. These are what works for me anyways. These are the types that work for me. You need this kind here, this large bell here is actually my favorite kind. I find that to work the best personally. I bought them all for between 25 cents and $1 years ago from Habitat for Humanity Restore, almost entirely from there. We actually went to Indianapolis on a trip there and went to a couple there years ago. This one here doesn't work as well because it's so short, but it works well if I'm starting something in the ground. These don't work as well here because it doesn't have as much of a hole at the top, but for the rain to get in, but it still works decent. I do have some that just have one hole about this size in the middle. Those work the least well. I just trim mowed, so my throat is a little bit irritated just because it was dusty and stuff. I do try to avoid using plastic, but the weeds were just so bad a few years ago that I did put down some of the black landscape fabric. My goal, my ideal this year would be to get it all replaced with this cotton batting back here. And here, take your time, look at my cloches here. Here's these here. They don't have to all be clear. See, this is opaque. This is white. Not even opaque. This is white. And it still works pretty well, but not as well as the clear ones. The sun just came out, and so some of my plants are less happy now than they were. Sometimes when the sun comes out, everything just wants to die on me. This guy probably should... yeah, I probably should take that off. There we go. But I have this organic cotton batting. It's literally organic cotton batting. And what I did last year is I put it down in the garden to use it as mulch. And it did a good job of preventing weeds from coming up. But it also absorbed the water, which was not okay. So some of it is basically rotting and was wet. So I have started putting leaves on some of it, but for most of it I took it off, and I'll just use it in the paths as I already discussed instead. I generally keep cardboard out of here. Egg cartons, the egg ones, that's an exception to the rule that, as you can see, there's some here that is rotting there, and then this is an old organic cotton sheet, or actually it's an old sheet from the 60s or 70s. So I use what I have for things, but you can see here I just did this yesterday. I just put leaves here yesterday. Now, I did, as you can tell, leave the soil uncovered on the edges here. And that this is where I had to till. Let me show you why I had to till. A lot of this has filled in already. But look, see that? Those are all tree roots coming into the garden to steal water and nutrition from my plants. I can't have that. I'm not growing trees intentionally. And these here I need to take apart because the plastic's coming apart. I need to throw the plastic off, or throw the plastic away. See, I'm not going for perfection. I'm not going for beauty. I'm going for food. Once I get this stuff cleaned up, it's going to be a lot prettier. I would rather not have bare soil, But the reason why I'm leaving bare soil is because I don't want the tree roots to be feeling like they're invited in. And, you know, one of the things that I do is I observe nature, and then I see how I can mimic that for my benefit. And nature keeps the soil covered. Nature hates bare soil. And tree roots don't like bare soil either. So that's what I'm doing around the edges. But as you can see, inside where I'm trying to grow food, we're covered for the most part. I mean, there's a little bare soil right over there. Working on, you know, putting more in. You can see I've got tomatoes here that I transplanted, and they don't have cloches over them, and they're doing just fine. These guys were very leggy. My cucumbers just aren't so happy. I'll see what I do with my cucumbers. They just are not looking thrilled with life, but they may come back. I mean, there's plenty of time still, of course. And they look worse right now again because of the sun. Like this guy here, look, he looks so much better, and he's partially in shade right now. He looks so much better than the ones that are like this guy here. He's all wilty. The ones that have more access to sun right now, look, he's all wilty. It's not because it's dry, it just rained. Oh, but here, look. See, this close here is opaque. It's not clear. You can see down here, this guy looks much happier. So what is happening right now is that my plants are sad about the sun. Generally speaking, it's been overcast a lot or raining a lot lately here. And I have discussed some of the crazy things that have been going on with the sun in newsletters and past. You can search my Substack for the word sun, and you can find those newsletters. But as you can see, I've got lots of leaves down, and I plan to continue to do so over the course of the season. It's nice and juicy down here. Got lots of worms doing their thing. That is, hold on. Okay. That is one of the problems with having healthy soil for your plants to grow in, is that worms, earthworms, want to live in your healthy soil, and then raccoons can smell the worms and come after it. I see a little butterfly over there. Let's see if I can not actually catch it. Let's see if I can catch it on video for you. And it looks like it might be flittering away. And it did just flitter away. Okay. So that's that. But as you can see, I have weeds in here. Do you see the little yellow flowers? Little yellow flowers. And this is closed up. These are closed up right now. But once they unfold, they'll look a lot like clover, but it's not clover. This is wood sorrel. I have tons of wood sorrel growing in here, which is fantastic. And there's actually more wood sorrel growing in here than I realized, because I came through yesterday and harvested a bunch. But look at all of these yellow flowers of the wood sorrel. The wood sorrel I use instead of lettuce, which I do have some lettuce over here growing. Which it's weird because this is lettuce from seeds that I saved. But I mean, the seeds are oldish. I mean, the seeds are 5 or 6 years old. But still, my lettuce usually, I put a ton of seeds there, and they just aren't doing so well. During the afternoon, especially, this area here is pretty shady. So I'm planning, and I threw the soil's damp, so I threw some leaves down here to keep the soil damp. There, I'm planning to plant my Cape gooseberry here, because Cape gooseberry doesn't require full sun, and I'm probably I don't know. I may plant some tomatoes here, but I have to finish tilling from... I have to finish tilling over here. You see all those rocks? You can see lots of rocks. See a lot of rocks here. Yeah, so on my south side garden, I have tomatoes growing as well. Tomatoes, we eat a decent amount of tomatoes. I know people are nightshade haters, whatever. I plant what we eat. And that is my best advice to anyone who's thinking about dipping their toe into gardening, is to plant what you eat. If you don't eat it, then don't plant it. Because you don't want to be investing time and resources into things you don't eat. But I'm going to add some leaves here, and then I'm going to still go ahead and plant in here. I've got a mullein here, and here's a wild lettuce. Actually, my wild lettuce is doing all right here, surprisingly. This is actually wild lettuce that I transplanted. Wild lettuce is very bitter, FYI. It's not sweet like regular lettuce. It is, again, I cannot stress enough, wild lettuce is bitter. But bitter plants, bitter herbs are very good for your digestive system. So I did want them to succeed. I wanted to be sure that there were some in my garden. And I've got plantain as well. Plantain's growing all over here on our property. Well, not all over, but in a lot of areas. Which is great, because when I can find plantain leaves that are big, like yay big, then I use those plantain leaves for my fermenting. And I have a video up on fermenting. Fermenting is free probiotics. There's also a lot of lady's thumb growing here. I think this here is lady's thumb. I think I saw some. I don't see it now. I thought I saw some lady's thumb out here at some point that was already starting to go to seed. The lady's thumb I use, yeah, here it is. This surprised me. This is lady's thumb here. And I will link to my foraging video with recommended resources for foraging. But my lady's thumb here, I use for my pesto. It's very important for our pesto, and that helps increase the nutrient density of our pesto, which we eat year round. I freeze a ton of it. I make it from oregano and from basil, just depending on what I have lots of at that particular moment of time. Got dock down here, which is a no good, very bad weed. Got to post up on dock. Sure, it helped untold people get through the Great Depression. But let's not think about that, because Monsanto tells us not to. And yes, I do have some clover down here. I do sometimes eat some clover. I really like red clover in my salad. I don't see any open right now, but the red clover has little red blossoms, as you might imagine. And I just like to put some of the blossoms in my salads. But right now, and thus far this year, most of my salads, the actual salad itself, has been what's it called? The wood sorrel. And what I do is let me see if I can find some that would work to demonstrate how I harvest it. Here. So my wood, for harvesting wood sorrel, I just grab it like this. I have just a pair of regular scissors, grab it like this, and cut right here. And then I have kitchen shears that I cut. Well, I mean, I rinse it then very, very well in clean water. And then I use kitchen shears to cut this up very small. Because otherwise, you'll choke. That would not be good. So there's that. What else can I share with you? Oh, raised beds. Lots of people talk about raised beds and how raised beds are just the most amazing thing ever and yada yada, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so we here anyways do not get hardly any gentle regular rains like you used to get. Like, it's like they don't exist anymore. And as a result, if our garden was flat, then it would be flooded a lot. We did try 2 actual raised beds made from cedar wood. I think they were 2x10s, and they just fried. I could not keep them. I would water them 2 or 3 times a day very well, and it did not work. Here where we're at. Okay, I'm telling you what works and doesn't work for me. It could be different for you. But obviously we took time and money for that. And that was just an epic fail. So, and that was, I think, the year before I made this area into an actual garden. So what I did, well, there are 2 different things. Okay, let me backpedal a bit. This area was initially intended to be a parking area, and then I realized that the level of sun here was so great, and so I changed the plan, which, as you observe your site, you should be adjusting your plans accordingly. I changed the plan and made this my garden instead. And the first year, I planted, a lot of things like tillage radish and those sorts of things. This was very, very heavily compacted clay soil. I cannot stress that enough. Like, go to a craft store, buy some clay, and that was our soil. Except it was super compacted by heavy machinery. So I planted clover and tillage radish and things like that. And then that fall, I did sheet mulching with cardboard, carefully sourced cardboard. And this was prior to 2020. Covered it with leaves and those sorts of things. I mean, we watered it. We did all of the sheet mulching things. And then that spring, we bought a bunch of bags of soil. I think it was Pro Mix at that time. I don't recommend Pro Mix anymore. We buy Happy Frog soil, and I buy that for my seedlings, and that's it. But it's thus far, and I have bought 3 bags this year. Thus far, it's still good stuff. But that could be subject to change tomorrow. What I did was I took the soil and I put the soil down there. But it was only, a couple inches of soil. Retrospectively, now I know, because I experimented, that you can actually start seeds directly in clay soil, heavily compacted clay soil, because that's what I did on the south side. I started some tomato seeds directly in heavily compacted clay soil there. And then the first few years, I put sawmill mulch down heavily, and then it was too expensive to get it. I mean, the sawmill mulch itself is cheap, but getting it is expensive, or a whole lot of work. So I switched to leaves, and I have a picture, which I can't share with you because I don't do the video editing stuff generally. But this post here is new. I just dug this post this year. And I have probably 8 to 12 inches of good topsoil now. And then it's super duper heavy clay. Like I said, it's a picture. So I apparently generated that much actual soil, just by mimicking what nature does, which is it keeps the soil covered. And like I said, I use pretty heavy doses, I guess you'd say, of either sawmill mulch or leaves. And you got to go with what you got access to and all these sorts of things. And there are different factors for everyone. For trellises, obviously I have these plastic step-in fence posts because that's what I have. So that's what I use. And I was using, you know, the plastic back in there from leftover from chicken stuff. But that's falling apart now. So that's got to go for the most part. But what I have done before and what I'm going to do this year is use whatever I have. Yarn, which I do have yarn. I also have twine in between these as trellises. It is work to put it in, but it works. And that's what matters. Because I need to produce food in order to eat. And that is what I do. I produce food and I eat. My goal pretty much every spring is to get as much done as quickly as possible so that I can basically get the garden mostly on autopilot, because I know there will be drought because we're already in a drought for one here in the U.S. And for two, fertilization. The leaves do offer fertilization. You know, the worms are doing their thing. And that also reduces the amount of weeding that I have to do. But the weeds that I use, I eat. So that is food production as well. And those weeds that I eat or use as medicine, those weeds help cover the soil as well. So I've got all of these various things going on in the soil or in the garden that aid me in that manner. Also, I seed save, which means that the plants or the plants that do the best for me, I save those seeds every year, and those plants are used to my style of gardening, which is pretty neglectful, because the chances are that something will occur this summer, besides drought, that will keep me inside the house when I really need to be out here with the plants. So, you know, like sometimes it's wood smoke, sometimes not wood smoke. Sometimes it's so-called wildfire smoke. Sometimes it's a factory on fire 3 states away, or, I mean, all of these sorts of things. You know, who knows? Was it 2024 and 2025 both? I had problems with the sun. Thus far, I haven't really had problems with the sun, but I'm you know, I learn from history, unlike society today. And because I learned from history, I know that there's a good chance that I will again. And also, I'm watching my plants when the sun comes out, and my plants go, whenever the sun comes out. You know, that guy right over there, right? Hold on, where are we at there? Right here, right here. He was very happy until it was full sun, and now he's sad. You know, my garlic, I seed save for my garlic every year. Garlic's doing good. You know, my garlic's doing real good. No complaints there at all. I don't plant peppermint in your garden or lemon balm in your garden. Please don't be an idiot like I was. I was so focused on companion planting one year that I forgot that you don't want to plant any kind of mint inside your garden. These are white bush patty pan acorn squash. I hadn't grown them before, and every seed that I planted of them came up. We'll see how they do. I've got my garlic here doing amazing. This here is climbing zucchini. Again, I think every seed that I planted of it came up. I've never grown climbing zucchini before. We're going to see how that goes. Planted zucchini before, but never climbing zucchini. Got tomatoes growing around here. Cucumbers over here. All along. Cucumbers all along here. And then cucumbers all along here. Which, you know, there's plenty of time to replant any that don't make it. Actually, here's some tomatoes. It looks like I planted some tomatoes here. My bad. I didn't mean to accidentally lie to you. Sorry. But these are, yeah, these are definitely all cucumbers here. We got a big old dock plant here. Sup, Doc? Oh, this here is lady's thumb. I always make sure to leave room for lady's thumb. Oh, and another thing that I use in the garden, if it's wet, you got to make it wet first, is paper bags, because the adhesive on them isn't so bad. In some areas, if the weeds are bad, I will make sure it's super wet, and then I will put it under the leaves and pile leaves on top. You got to have something on top to hold that moisture in. Otherwise, you're going to have problems, and it'll suck away all of your here's a butterfly. Otherwise it'll suck away all the moisture. Don't see many butterflies these days, do we? Gee, I wonder why. Couldn't have anything to do with, you know, all of the toxic chemicals that all of the chemical companies and humans are using. It couldn't have anything to do with all the non-native EMFs that all of the humans are using. Couldn't have anything to do with any of those things. No, not at all. Once, let's see. Once my cucumber starts to flower, then usually the carpenter bees take care of it. But what really kicks things off as far as pollinators go here, besides, of course, you know, everything that I do to make sure that they have food, like right here, you see, well, if you can see it, the butterfly is using, can't really see it. I can see it. Why can't you see it? The butterfly is partaking of my wood sorrel flowers. People hate dandelions. Dandelions are the first food for pollinators every year. You know, but people have this hatred of dandelions. Dandelions are food for us too, you numbskulls. Not you guys, obviously, because you're here. Anyways, so I'm trying to do all of these things to get my garden on autopilot. Obviously, I clearly still have more things I need to do, and I am realistic, and reality in recent history tells me that something will occur, and I need to have everything done as much as I possibly can so that my garden has the best chance of succeeding without much intervention from me. And if I look out here, well, gee, what am I doing here to make these things grow? Nothing. I'm doing nothing. So I'm trying to emulate that, because nature knows best. Nature was designed intentionally in a certain manner. So I try to use that. I used to have rabbits, so I used to use rabbit manure out here. Another fertilizer is human urine. I know it sounds gross. I don't care what you think. It's an amazing fertilizer, and we as humans were created to live in harmony with nature, and so what we produce, nature uses. You got to dilute it heavily, of course, and it's wonderful for I can't think of what it's called. There's this yeast stuff that comes through on squash plants and sometimes tomatoes, but generally squash plants. I'm tired, but it's great for that. It's amazing fertilizer, like I said, and it's free. You know, leaves are fertilizer. They're all the. I do not use human manure. I have never attempted that. There are some things that are a little bit much for me, even. I've done some crazy things, but that's, like I said, that's a little much for me, human manure. Not that I'm judging you if you use that at all. You know, I think that's really cool if you do, but you got to compost it and do all these things, and That's just too much work for me. I need less work, not more. But I do, what's her name? Um, what is her name? Is it Ruth Coleman? I want to say it is, who did the deep straw mulching method. And she would just plant stuff in deep straw, and she would put all of her like kitchen scraps out there and stuff. And I just did that today, right here. Actually brought out, I got coffee grounds and eggshells and just random things that I just buried underneath leaves here. And the earthworms will take care of it. They're cool with that. I mean, they got this. They want it. So I don't know if I will do another garden update or not. I probably will, because I tend to talk about whatever I'm working on at any given moment in time, and, you know, doing lots of gardening things right now. But in the meantime, you know, if you live in a city, if you have a patio, if you know, all of these sorts of things, even if you live in your car, maybe you have a friend where you can have some pots or something, so that you can feel like you have more of a locus of control over your food supply. Even if you're on food stamps, there are some farmers markets I know that take food stamps, and you can buy plants with them at the farmers markets. So that's something to look into. Also, you know, Free Cycle is a source of a lot of free gardening things. I got a lot of free gardening things on Free Cycle years ago when I lived up in the Lafayette area. There are some really great people who are super involved in gardening and in Free Cycle and helping people there. There are still good people out there that will, you know, do what they can to help you out, and that will share their abundance with you. We just have to have the mindset of doing what we can when we can, and just leaving the rest up to the Lord. So till next time, hang in there. I know things are crazy in the world. As you can see, I don't have it together here. Things are not pretty. My husband makes things pretty. This is my puddle, and my puddle is to produce food, and so that is what I focus on. If you are gardening, and you're like new to gardening or whatever, you have got to prioritize things. The plastic stuff that I have back there, that I took, plastic fencing I took out there, right now, that is not even on my radar. That could be next year before I even deal with that stuff, literally. And the same goes for the black landscape fabric. It's not hurting anything really. I know it's plastic. I know all about microplastics. Thank you very much. But I needed something I could get down quickly at that particular moment in time in order to produce food, and that is that. And I know that what I'm producing is going to be better than any, even the market gardeners that I buy from. It's still better than what they use, because they'll use some organic, they'll use like neem oil if they need to. I will not use neem oil. They'll use some of these sorts of things that aren't terrible, but they're, in my opinion, they aren't good. And so I don't use those things. I go with as natural as possible in a synthetic world. Do what you can, where you can. I am out. I have things to do. Non-toxic out.